94.9 is the official English radio home of the Nashville Soccer Club. You can listen in Saturday night as Nashville SC takes on Chicago. That'll be at Nissan Stadium. Home game for Nashville SC. Pregame starts at 7:15. The match begins at 7:30. So keep that in mind on Saturday evening. Nashville SC hosting Chicago at Nissan Stadium. Back here on Darren, Daunic, and Chase. Good stuff there from Jeremy K. Gover. You are going to hear our conversation with Pecorine that we had yesterday at Barrel House after his presser. You'll hear that in the second hour. Also, we'll catch up with Crazy Legs Craig Smith. He was also a longtime teammate of Pecorine, and he will join us. In fact, I think this is the first time we've talked to Craig since he left.
Yes.
Is it not?
Yes, it is.
Maybe the first time anybody's talked to him since he left in this market.
Another thing we can check in
I
on,
think
he had a good year, and one of his good buddies that he befriended in Nashville was Frazier. Is it Adam Frazier? Plays for the Pirates, who started in the All-Star game.
Got a hit last night.
Got a hit last night for the Buccos in the All-Star game.
Huh.
The Nashvilleian.
He lives here?
He lives in Nashville, yeah.
Adam Frazier?
He does.
Wow.
Indeed.
I don't know why I get, like it's surprising anymore. It's like, oh, okay, just add him to the list.
Add him to the list.
Adam Frazier. What's the dot to connect?
I don't know.
Just
he
because?
played at Mississippi State, Adam Frazier.
It's Nashville.
Right, I know.
I mean,
Probably,
honestly, I think that's what it is. It's Nashville.
I think it's just Nashville. There's a group of players that gravitate and train in the off season in the city, and he's one of them. But Craig used to talk about him a lot, and I was like, oh, Adam Frazier, I got to take a look at this. And sure enough, he's turned into a really good player. He's a guy that you're going to hear his name in trade rumors in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, he's on my fantasy.
He's having a really good year. Obviously, he started the All-Star game.
Yeah, had him all year.
The Pirates, with Brian Reynolds from Brentwood High at Vanderbilt, they had two starters in the All-Star game. The Pirates.
Yeah.
This just in, they're not really good after those two guys.
No.
Who's worse, them or the D-backs?
Oh, the D-backs.
Ooh, D-backs.
By
The
far.
D-backs are terrible.
They still have under 30 wins, don't they?
Well, they've lost like 30 of 32 road games?
Ew.
23
30
straight.
Well, yeah, but it's like 30 of their last 32 road games they've lost. It's embarrassing. They're horrible. Absolutely
They are
horrible.
really bad. It is haves and have-nots.
That's why I said, why didn't they take Rocker? It's like you've got Jarvis in the pipeline, and if you've got Rocker, that could be your future.
Well, why didn't the Pirates
punch.
take Rocker or Leiter? They had a chance at either one of them and didn't
that
take
was
either
number
one.
one. Arizona was like number 7.
Right, but the Pirates passed on Rocker and Leiter. Like, what are you doing?
Look, I'm with you. I'm totally with you, but clearly they needed a catcher.
Like, I get I understand the draft pool money and all
Jacob
this
Stallings.
stuff, but come on.
They don't need a catcher. They got Jacob Stallings.
I know.
What are they
Jacob
doing?
Stallings is pretty good.
Yeah, he's done well.
done
That's
very
been
well.
cool to see him really blossom as a player. I guess Kevin's enjoying watching that.
Oh, heck yeah.
I still, by the way, there's been 2 really perplexing hockey stories as we kind of wrap up this first hour. The Edmonton-Chicago trade, it doesn't feel any different today than when it happened during our show. Like, it's still just as much of a head-scratcher today. And the other one that just hasn't changed, morphed into something else since we, left the airwaves yesterday, once again, happened while we were on the show, back early in the show, when Michael Russo put out that tweet. Zach Parise and Ryan Suter, you're moving on from those contracts with that much time and money left?
Tell the story that you passed along to me, Chase, that Michael Russo reported.
Yeah. So this was
because this is very Nashville Predator fans will get a chuckle out of this.
Yeah, I was actually trying to pull it up so I could read directly from it. But apparently, when Bill Guerin had tried to call Ryan Suter and he didn't answer and went to voicemail, and so he called Zach Parise to let him know, hey, we're buying you out. And then Parise called Suter and said, hey, I just got bought out. And Suter goes, well, I have a missed call from Bill, so I guess I need to see what that's about. And Bill Guerin called Suter again and said, "Hey, we're going to buy you out." Suter hung up.
He just
I'm
hung up on
laughing.
him.
I chuckle because that's just very Ryan Suter, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we know Ryan. We've got to know him from the time he was very young. That's just Ryan Suter.
Yep.
And it's going to fuel the fire. And this is what's crazy, connecting it to the Duncan Keith trade. Duncan Keith is a couple years older than Ryan Suter, makes $5.5 million. Now we know the other thing we know about Ryan Suter, he's not going to go play in Edmonton, right? I would really not think that, but he's definitely not going now. But Edmonton, in theory, could have waited one day and been in the market for Ryan Suter for probably half the price that they're going to pay for Duncan Keith.
Yeah.
For a guy 2 years younger and way better. Ryan Suter can still play hockey. That's why the click happens, right? Ryan Suter believes he can still play and will be playing for a long time.
Let me read this real quick. Suter, this is from Russo's article on The Athletic. Suter tried to lift Parise's spirits. He even told him that, funny enough, he himself had missed a call from Guerin. That's when Guerin suddenly called again.
Oh, boy.
The veteran defenseman answered and was blindsided with the exact same news that he, too, was being bought out of the final 4 years of his contract. That call with Guerin wasn't as lengthy or as friendly. Suter never, ever envisioned that the Wild would actually buy out both contracts at the same time, hung up on the GM. I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. If that's the call and it's like, you're getting fired, that's basically what it is. Like, okay. There's really not much else to say. Now, I wouldn't hang up blatantly like that. I'd be like, all right, cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. And then try and get off the phone as quickly as possible.
I mean, they did give him $100 million, so.
Oh, I know. It's not like he's getting nothing
You know what?
for it.
Honestly, this is going to be a good thing for Ryan Suter in a lot of ways because he's going to be cashing those checks. It's going to be just the side of Bobby Bonilla.
I know. You people make
and
more
he's going to
money.
go to another team and make
Yes.
another. He can decide. He's going to have a lot of options.
Honestly,
of where to play.
It ends up being the best thing for you because you get to double dip. You make more money.
Yes.
Sad but true. The question is, where does he end up? And by the way, that's two guys out of the Predators division.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think as we talked about yesterday, and you were just saying this, Suter will be okay. I think
By the way,
there's
that's
going to be a
three
market.
guys. What's interesting? I mean, think about that. Duncan Keith, Ryan Suter, Zach Parise. Three guys just fled the Predators division the last 2 days.
Yeah, except I think you're going to replace you're going to put Seth Jones back in the Central, the real Central.
You think?
I just the more I think about that, it just
you
feels.
still think the trade's coming?
I think it's coming.
Like you said.
I know. I said it was going to be this week. I'll stand by that. I'll stand by that. That I think it's coming this week.
I'll be floored and tell you great call because I don't see it.
Here's what's interesting. Ryan and I were talking this morning. Ryan Porth and I.
Not Suter. And he said, he goes, think about this, because I was like, where do you think Suter ends up? I mean, the market's going to be there. And he goes, yeah, think about a defensive pairing in Chicago, Seth Jones and Ryan Suter. I'm like, wolf. But, I mean, with the room that they but what do they have to give up to get Seth Jones?
It would have to be pretty significant, I would think.
Pretty.
The thing about it is that there's always going to be a little bit of, well, if we wait 1 year, he'll be on the open market. The question is, if you trade for him, how certain are you that you can work a deal? How much information can you get from Seth Jones's camp to say, okay, he's interested in signing with you long term? That makes you maybe feel better about giving up some assets to go get him. But that is one to watch for sure. Now that they've acquired Caleb Jones, it just seems like the pieces are in place for Chicago to make the move.
Yep, certainly does. All right, we will come back. You will hear from Pecorine. You will hear our conversation with him. You're going to want to hear this. Also, Craig Smith in the second hour. That's all coming up next here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.
Darren, Daunic, and Chase, you're on 102.5 The Game, ESPN Radio Nashville. Willie Daunic, Darren McFarland, Chase McCabe. What a big day yesterday over at Bridgestone Arena. Carried 24 hours ago, the press conference involving Pekka Rinne, and then with us positioning ourselves correctly on the other side of Bridgestone Arena at Barrel House, we got the big fella to saunter across the concourse and sit down with us
the
for a
big
few minutes.
Finnish fella.
And if you missed this conversation, you've got to listen to this because we were prepared. Now, unfortunately, Chase had to step away. He had an appearance he made because he's a famous broadcaster. Now he is on the racing scene. He's a superstar, a budding star.
Public figure.
Public figure, yes.
Joseph Newgarden was a star. I was just setting him up. So.
But that opened up a seat at our table.
Yep.
And so Pekka sat down. Now, you're going to hear during this interview a couple of cameo appearances. One, a sound bite from Thomas Vokoun that we had with Thomas back on May the 11th, the day after that last game that Pekka Rinne played, that memorable performance against Carolina in the regular season finale. Also, a surprise guest on the phone, one of his former captains, Mike Fisher. So enjoy this conversation with Pekka Rinne.
I'm just going to repeat what I said after your press conference when we got back here. I said, Willie, I'm going to thank Pekka right it from jump for holding it together and not letting the room get messy. Because if you don't hold it together, you're the driving force. You have to hold it together. And you did, because if you don't, the room is going to be lost. And I was like, I didn't want the messy press conference because I know that it was teetering because everybody's so emotional today. But in all seriousness, we both agreed. You felt like you were at peace with this decision. Yeah. And I know it wasn't easy, but you felt like you were at peace with today's outcome.
Yeah, I am. I mean, I've had so much time to think about it, and it's been in the back of my head for a while now. And I actually, to be honest with you, I thought that I was done with the being emotional and stuff. I'm an emotional guy. I cry easily, and because early on when I made the decision in my mind, I want to say like a month ago. I was emotional. I would reflect back, and I would get emotional and just like lock myself in into our bedroom or something like that. And but this morning it's been a little bit overwhelming too. You know, after the news, getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of messages, and that video was pretty emotional. So. But yeah, I'm in a really good place. I tried to. There's a lot of different mixed feelings. There's a little bit of sadness too. You know, obviously the unknown, what's coming, and there's going to be a lot of changes. That's for sure. But I try to choose the side that I'm celebrating my career, and I'm well thought. That I'm actually comfortable with this decision, and like I said, I'm just trying to enjoy it and celebrate my career.
It's not the first time you've had to sit down and ponder tough decisions. You've had big contracts to sign. You've had tough decisions to make, but I have to believe this one was the toughest by far, right? And so with that being said, did you go back and forth, Pekka? I mean, it was like, I think it's time, and then you wake up the next day and you're like, no, wait a minute, it's not time. No, wait a minute, wait a minute, let me rethink this. I mean, how many back and forths did you have with yourself?
Yeah, there were some. I was from early on. I mean, I was pretty sure about my decision. There was in the back of my head. I want to take you guys back a little bit. I mean, I feel like I've achieved so much more than I ever could have imagined. So I already decided a long time ago that, when I feel like it's my time, if possible, I want to go out on my own terms. And I feel like I still had that chance, and now was the right time. And But yeah, there were days that I would go back and forth, and obviously it's something that I've done all my life. It's my livelihood, and it's my passion, and everything like that. So absolutely, I think the kind of give, like, just the part where you separate, it's always the hardest, and the unknown and everything like that. So, but I'm very comfortable with my decision, and in a very good place.
Someone you brought up in the press conference, Barry Trotz, your coach here at the time, he called in the first hour before your press conference, and we had a really good conversation with him.
Nice.
And I said to Barry, I said, it's really interesting, the narrative, if you ask anybody that's ever had an encounter with Barry Trotz or Pekka Rinne, it's the same story. It's like everybody was given a script to read because everybody had the same encounter, just how you guys carry yourself as human beings. Like, that's what, like, it's one thing to say great coach, great goaltender. Like, everybody can say that, but it seems like with you guys, people go towards more the human element. But yet, you're both fierce competitors, and we know, and you talked about how much of a fierce competitor you are. And anybody who's been around you can see it. Your teammates know that. I've always marveled at that balance because I feel like I strive to be that, but I fail. I'm not anywhere near the level that you guys are. But I also feel like competitively, I go too far. I'm too emotional. I'm too up and down. How do you deal with losses, and they're tough, but yet you would look up when the cameras are on or a microphone is in front of you, and you've got a smile on your face, and you treat everybody the same way. Like, you had the same approach your entire career. I marvel at that balance, how you can do that and never live this roller coaster ride that I feel like I would have done if I were in your shoes.
I don't know. I to be honest, I just try to be true to myself, try to be who I am. But I try to also separate those two things, especially when it's emotional and after games and things like that. I try to separate that, and then when I'm dealing with people or media or whoever it might be, I try to kind of take a step back from that emotional state and be able to be myself. But yeah, I mean, we all are different, and we all you guys make me sound like a saint.
You mean you're not?
Oh, what, buddy? I just ask my fiance. I don't know, but yeah, for sure. But yeah, I do take a lot of pride that I'm not above anybody. I'm like that. To me, that's an important thing. I try to treat every single person, the same way. So to me, that's a important thing for myself, and I think that comes from home. Thankful for my parents. I think they have that kind of values, and but yeah, there's a sides in me that I absolutely hate. So don't make me sound like I'm like a perfect human being, because I'm not.
Well, we've enjoyed watching from our posts here for such a long time. It's been special. So Pekka, I hope you just enjoy this entire day. We're gonna have a special guest that wants to say hi to you here in just a minute, but I want to reflect too after that night against Carolina, the last game, which was such a great spontaneous thing. That's the thing I'll remember about it, is it wasn't planned or anything. It just kind of happened, and it was awesome. We talked to Thomas Vokoun the next day, and he had a great story about when he first saw you, and it was in Finland. And I just want to play this clip because we got a great laugh out of this. This is Thomas Vokoun on his first meeting with Pekka Rinne.
In Finnish League during the 2004 lockout, and he was playing for Karpat Oulu, and I was playing in Helsinki, and we went up there, and it's far up north, and we're skating around in a pregame skate, and I look at the other goalie, and I'm like, oh my God, this guy is huge, and they're like, yeah, he just got drafted to Nashville. I was like, damn.
He's like, oh,
He
crap.
thought his days might be numbered back
Wow,
then.
what a guy he is! I mean, he was so good to me. One story I have from Volky. We didn't get to play together for too long. I mean, I got called up a couple times.
Right. I want to ask you about that.
Yeah, and then I spent a couple training camps together with him. But my first training camp, I got into the city. I was staying in Hampton Inn by the practice rink, and
Right.
After the first gate, he's like, "Hey, you need a vehicle?" And I'm like, "Oh, I only have a Finnish driver's license. Like, is that enough?" He's like, "Oh, that's good. Don't worry about it." Next day, there's a car waiting for me. I was driving the whole training camp, and he was like so nice to me. And that obviously had a for sure. I was so impressed by the guy. You know, he was number one goalie in NHL. I looked up to first of all, and then he was treating me like that. So it for sure made a huge impact.
Well, your paths, like you said, didn't cross very much with him, but you did have that one night where you got called up, and it was he was hurt. I think Mace might have been hurt too, and all of a sudden you're in there, and we knew a little bit about you. You know, we had heard about you, but boom, you're thrust in there, and it's a really good team. They needed to win. We're playing the Blackhawks, and just that was your first ever win. I remember the very first shot. I think Chicago scored.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, boy, welcome to the NHL. But you settled in. You played a really good game. What do you remember about that night?
Yeah, for some reason, I remember a lot of things. I remember that first shot. I remember it was Mark Bell who scored that goal. I think it was a shorthanded goal. I don't know. Somebody check it out if you can remember. But yeah, ended up winning the game 5-3. Craig Anderson was playing for Chicago. So yeah, there's weird things that I do remember, and that was in December '05. I can't remember the exact date, but yeah, there is a lot more that I remember from that game than most of the games in my career. So it was a special moment. I mean, just a year before. I mean, previous season I was backup goalie to Niklas Backstrom in Finland, and then boom, all of a sudden I'm playing an NHL game, which was at the moment it was just ecstatic. I mean, it was so awesome.
Yeah, it was a preview of coming attractions because it would be another year or two before you really blossomed here.
Yeah.
Now, we don't want to keep you too long. I know you got to run here, but
No,
we've got
we're good.
a guy. Your Players Tribune article was really great. It was so many little tidbits from the past. And one of the things you mentioned is the captains that you played with. And one of them is on the line with us right here.
Oh,
we
wow.
got Mike Fisher. We tracked him down.
Oh.
So, Fish, say hello to Pekka Rinne. I know you're probably emotional like all of us are right now to talk to this guy, but welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here, Tex.
Hey, buddy.
Congrats,
Thanks for being here. Thank you very much, man.
Of course. I just saw the video this morning, and holy cow.
I
It just
know.
brought back a lot of emotions. I know what you're going through, and
Yeah.
but what a day.
It is. I'm trying to take it all in. Thanks for being here, buddy.
Well,
Yeah, of course.
Fish, I wanted to talk about one play I think about when I think about you two in particular, and there's a lot of great moments that you guys had on the ice together, but the Stanley Cup Finals, there was that play that they had such a great camera shot. I can always picture it in our mind. It's from behind the Penguins goalie. The play starts on your end, Pekka, but there's a great play by somebody to get it out of the zone, and then Fish dives and gets it ahead to the next guy, and I think it was Arvey that scored the breakaway goal, and it just – it's just one of those things. You don't remember every play about every game, but that's one that I remember, just the extra effort that was going on at that time.
Yeah, I mean, that's Fish right there. I mean, those, especially that year, those playoffs, he was huge for us. I mean, but that whole run, I'm sure Fish remember. Like, I mean, it's pretty high up there on Fish's list too, and that run we had. But it was special.
So, Fish, what do you remember most about that? When you think about Pekka, what pops into your mind, or any memory you want to share with us?
Well, for lots of things, but first one, obviously, he was given the talent, but you need the work ethic. I think of Pekka. I think of, man, he worked so stinking hard. He would be consistently the hardest working guy, and this is our starting goaltender that played a lot of years, like 60 games or whatever. But in practice, man, he would never take anything off, and he led the work ethic. I mean, from him out, and that was huge. But also, I think of the professionalism that he's shown. He's one of the most humble guys, and that's why you won't find anyone in the city or around the league that doesn't like Pekka, because he's so humble. He goes about his business. He works so hard, and that's what I mean. And as far as a teammate, you're not going to find a better teammate. And I still run into people. I ran into someone a couple weeks ago, and he's like, "Oh, I ran into Pekka, and I forget where." And he's like, "Man, you want to talk about a nice guy? He took the time to talk to me, and he didn't have to." And that's what not all the fans get to see about Pekka. They see him playing, they see him, in front of the camera doing interviews, but behind the scenes, I mean, he's a real deal. And I tell that to everyone that asks about Pekka, because you always get asked, like, is he really like? And I'm like, absolutely, he's awesome. So, but as far as memories, there's a lot of good memories in hockey, but most importantly, he's leaving a lot of people in the city better, because he's put his time off the ice and into lots of different things, 365 Fund, and but really talk about captains. He was really a captain for a long time in the dressing room, and what a career. He has so much to be grateful for, buddy.
Thank you so much, Fish. I really appreciate it.
Hey, Mike, I think we have reached his limit of blushing, so can we put you on hold? Can we talk a little bit more about him and let him go? Can we come back with you on the other side?
Yeah, absolutely. I got more. So.
Okay. All right, good.
Thanks again, Fish.
Thank you, Mike. We will come back with former captain Mike Fisher. And I know you got to run. So let's just end with this. I'm not going to try to make you blush anymore. What's next? I mean, are you going to be around a lot? Like, do you know kind of where you're going to be like the rest of 2021? Are you going to be around for games? Are you going back to Finland?
We only know our short-term plan. So the plan is to go back to Finland pretty soon here. None of the grandparents, nobody have seen Paulus yet. So our son, who's 7 months old now, so everybody's more than ready to see him. They're just. I think they're not too happy that we have stayed here. And
they're like, get on over here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So. Yeah, what's the deal? What's the big deal with retirement? Just come home. But no, it's so that's the plan. Go back home. But we're gonna come back to Nashville probably around the time when season starts, and probably around the time when the weather really starts changing in Finland. I'll be ready to come back. But yeah, we are looking forward to. Like we talked earlier, there's going to be so many changes, and just not being so busy with hockey and things like that. So just really excited with all the new things coming up, and I try to have an open mindset. What next? And I try to give myself and our family a lot of time now. I don't want to make too many plans yet, so kind of take it one step at a time.
For two guys who've been covering this team since they got here, it's been a real honor and a pleasure to cover you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Pro.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
With everything,
really
on the ice, off the ice. Thank you so much for doing this. Best of luck with everything. Best of luck, Dad.
Thank you.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
That's the one thing I'm most proud of.
Is he pulling up yet? Pulling up on things?
No, he's crawling. He's moving quite a bit, but not luckily.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's coming. It's about luckily it doesn't get up yet, but he's very curious baby and happy baby so far, and we've been lucky, fortunate. Sleeps great, and I don't want to jinx too many things. So.
Thanks for doing this. Good to see you, and
you.
We'll talk to you down the road.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Tune in tomorrow night starting at 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. 2-hour special on Predators legend Pekka Rinne, who you just heard our conversation with him yesterday. It's called Impeccable, 35 stories. See what happened there? And moments dealing with Pekka Rinne's career. It's all presented by Lee Company, trusted by homeowners throughout Middle Tennessee. Chase, you know anything about this show?
I do. I'm going to be a part of it. So I might have come up with that name too.
I was challenged to contribute to the 35. Is it more like it's a little bit out of the box of Elliot Friedman, the 31 thoughts, which soon to be 32 thoughts. So 35 things. What do we end up? What's the term we're using?
35 stories.
35 stories.
Yep. So it can be moments in his career. It can be, some of the things that have come out over the last few days with stories being told. I mean, you guys have been thinking on it and giving some things. So, yeah, excited to do that show tomorrow from 6 to 8 because we wanted to – we've honored Pekka, obviously, throughout all three of our shows over the last 2 days, but we wanted to do something even more and can pull some things from the last 2 days and even beyond that. So you'll hear some moments and thoughts from his first game to his last game.
Well, the Edmonton Oilers are not done trading. They've traded again. They've traded with the Carolina Hurricanes. Carolina Hurricanes get goaltender Dylan Wells. Why? I have no idea.
Well,
Edmonton,
I can tell you why.
In exchange, gets a future consideration. He's an RFA.
He's an RFA, but it has to do with the qualifications you need to have. You have to expose a certain amount of goalies that qualify with experience. And so they didn't have one. So that's now they can expose him to the draft. It has nothing to do. The Kraken are probably not going to take this guy, but they can now say we've fulfilled the requirements of the expansion list. That's why that deal was made.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you do see those. You see those.
You have to
moves.
You can't just expose complete.
Yeah.
You have to have some qualifications, age and experience and all this stuff.
Well, because
I don't have all the details, but that's why that deal was made.
The whole design of this format is, each team's going to lose a good player or a decent player to make the roster for Seattle as competitive as possible, as quickly as possible.
Yep.
So
unlike the Predators, and I'm not bitter. Yes, I am. And I understand why. It was $60 million and not $500 or $650 million like it is now. But the Predators, part of these reasons these rules are in there that you have to expose people that actually can play hockey.
Yeah.
Was the Predators were picking from the scrap heap. And they got the first crack. Remember, they were in before the Blue Jackets, the Wild, and the Thrashers, who are now the Jets. But, I mean, the pickings were meager.
They didn't even get the first pick in the entry draft. They got the second.
Well, yeah, they lost the lottery. They were in the lottery, didn't win it.
I know, see, that's the thing. I kind of look at it as why not give them why not give the expansion team the first overall pick? Maybe I'm in the minority on that, but I don't know.
You're in the lottery, and you can't go that low. But the other part that wasn't ideal was that draft. They got David Legwand, who's obviously a good player for a long, long time. He had his flaws, but he was a good player for a long time. But it was not a year.
I just hear Brent Peterson in my head right now.
Well, but and Vincent LeCavalier was the first pick. So if they'd won the lottery, they'd have taken him for sure. He was far and away the number one prospect. But it wasn't a draft full of franchise players.
Sure.
Right? Some years there's some franchise players out there, right? You can't go wrong. You can if you have one of the first 5 picks, you're going to get somebody good, like the year that they got Seth Jones.
Mm-hmm.
They were lucky that he slipped to 4th, but there were other guys in there that were fantastic players, Barkov and McKinnon and guys that are superstars right now.
Could you imagine if instead of Legwand it was Vinny LeCavalier?
Yeah, I mean,
what that would have done.
Yeah, that's a flip of the coin.
Yeah.
And it could have been LeCavalier that came. And they would not have projected him to be the next Michael Jordan like the Tampa owner did, which was a huge mistake. That was just flat out dumb. But he was a great player for a long time. They won a cup.
I think Pierre LeBrun does a really good job at what he does.
I've been waiting for us to get into this.
But I mean, I've got to be honest. I don't think I thought it was a joke at first. I was like, okay, so
because there are some fake Pierre LeBrun
right,
accounts
exactly.
out there.
I was like, this is a fake account. Like, this is a fake story. Like, this is not real. This is not Pierre LeBrun. But when I saw some chatter about Pierre LeBrun's tweet and, what he's written, and it's like, what is all the hubbub about this? This was yesterday, of course, after our show. I don't remember exactly when I saw it. I guess it was last night. I don't remember when. Anyway, I look at it, and it's like, Matt Duchene may get left off the expansion draft list by the Predators. And it's like,
what?
He said there
I'm
was
just-
growing
I'm like-
speculation.
There's
like
growing-
he might.
I'm literally looking around going, am I getting punked? Like, is this a joke? Like, this, nah, okay, this is clearly fake account, fake story. But no, it was real. Am I the only one? No,
No.
I know I'm not.
No, you're
That
not.
was sitting there
No,
going, did I miss something? This is a story? What is going on? This is Pierre LeBrun. This is not some guy in Quebec who decided to tweet this out. Who
Right.
covers the Nordiques.
That's what was surprising about it. It
It's
wasn't
like,
some
what?
outsider. This is one of the top guys who covers the league. So it was very surprising the way he
I
worded
called
that.
him Sherlock when I read that tweet. So.
Right. I see where you're going. But this again, I have tried. I don't think we've done enough to do this. I think we have, but I think sometimes it comes off as 100% just dumping on Matt Duchene, and it shouldn't be like that. It just has everything to do with the contract, right? It's the contract and the value and the fit. And here's what is really surprising about Pierre LeBrun's tweet is that there are a ton of players who are star players who are going to be exposed because of their contract.
Right.
Another one, PK Subban could be exposed. Absolutely could be
That's-
exposed to Seattle.
Well, I think he will be.
That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, we don't cover the Devils. I haven't looked at their list of players, and this is where Pierre LeBrun is different. He covers the whole league. He probably has a better idea, but I haven't looked at the Devils thing. But I'm pretty certain that
He's got 2 years?
at least one we could look.
I thought he had
1 year.
left.
You're right. Yeah.
1 year left.
Yeah. 1
So
year.
I think that they might just say, listen, if you want PK Subban, he's going to be exposed. I think that's a very possible thing, and it's got nothing to do with PK Subban, the person, the player, and there's a lot to like there, as we know, for a new franchise. And if it's only 1 year, like, ooh, that'd be tempting if they do that. But it's got everything to do with the budget and the cap space.
They might have to keep him exposed because, like, looking at their roster right now,
Got a lot of young players.
they got a lot of young players.
And the cap flexibility is such a big tool. And the Predators have created some with the trade of Victor Arvidsson. And they'd like to, if they create a little bit more, then there really is some maneuverability that they have to go do some things that they'd like to do.
I mean, I understand. He's a national guy. He doesn't cover the Predators on a daily basis. I'm sure he's probably not listening to our show, but he should. He should listen to our show. Barry Trotz told us he does. He checks in from time to time.
Hey,
he told
Trotzy.
us that yesterday. Hey, Barry, thanks for doing yesterday again. Really appreciate it. Good to talk to you. I understand. He's a national guy. He's not in this market. But for Pierre LeBrun, the people that he talks to put that out yesterday like that's some story, I just was dumbfounded. I don't think I've ever – he's just not one of those guys where I go, there's certain guys in the media on a national level that we – or at least I'll say it. I bag on sometimes. I'm just like, okay, consider the – Jason Lockenford.
that was
consider
weird.
the source.
Right. And there's
Okay.
other hockey guys. There's
And there's-
guys you watch
there
in
is-
hockey
there are-
where you
yes.
say that guy clearly has not watched the Predators.
Right.
There's a guy
Oh.
who will say something on a national show. Boom, boom, boom. He'll have a lot of hot air. Mike Milbury. Did I say Milbury?
You okay?
You did.
Sorry. Excuse me. A little. But
Got
there
a
are guys
hairball?
like
Got
that.
a hairball?
And you're saying exposed. Every Predator fan saying the same thing when they hear somebody do that because, like, you have not watched the team. Pierre LeBrun is not like that. Pierre LeBrun,
Like he talks
when we have
to
had him
people
on
who
our
should
show,
know.
he has expertise. He talks to Predator people. So that's what was surprising about that. But
And how did he word it again? What was
he said? There's growing speculation that they might
really
expose Matt Duchene, which I think all of us sitting in Nashville who have done our lists, I think we would be very surprised if they didn't expose Matt Duchene. And, of course, we've had extensive discussions on, would you even go to the next step to, really entice Seattle to take that contract? And let me say this again about the whole thing, because Matt Duchene could end up back in a Predator uniform, and they'll try to make it work next year. This is just part of the business. But there's also, these players know when you're making a lot of money and you're not producing, they feel that. Take, for example, Zach Parise. We just talked about what happened yesterday in Minnesota. They bought out Zach Parise and Ryan Suter. Zach Parise has been under that label for a number of years now, making a ton of money, and not living up to it because he's getting older. He's had trouble staying healthy for 3-4 years now, and there's a long way to go in that contract. He knows it. He was relieved to get bought out. It might be the best thing for him. All right, but I'm just saying that these players understand that this is part of the territory. When you sign a big, long contract, you're making a lot of money, and you haven't lived up to expectations, this is what goes with it.
We'll come back, talk to former Predator Craig Smith on the other side to close out hour number 2. But first, Chase, I bet you're going to talk about MGM.
I bet you're right, because there has never been a better time to find out why BetMGM is the king of sportsbooks. Right now, new customers have a chance to win $100 in free bets when they place a $1 moneyline wager on any of the NBA Finals games. If either team hits a three-pointer in that game, you'll win $100 regardless of your bet's outcome. That simple. All you have to do is use the code 1025GAME100 when you make your first bet to take advantage of this offer. Get ready to end the season with a big win. Sign up now and discover BetMGM's daily promotions, boosted odds specials, and much more. Just download the app, or you can go to BetMGM.com. Use that code 1025GAME100 to win $100 in free bets if either team hits a three in any NBA Finals game. It's always showtime at BetMGM. New customer offer, paid in free bets. You must be 21 years or older, must be in Tennessee. Visit BetMGM.com for a full list of terms and conditions. For problem gambling support, call the Tennessee Red Line at 800-889-9789.
Back here on Darren, Daunic, and Chase on this Wednesday. Darren McFarland, Willie Daunic, Chase McCabe with you. Yesterday, former Predators coach Barry Trotz joined us. Pekka Rinne, his day, joined us at Barrel House after his press conference. Mike Fisher, former Predators captain, joined us. We also heard from Carter Hutton and Kevin Klein. We had a lot of his former teammates join us on the broadcast, and we're going to keep that theme rolling right along. Crazy Legs. Craig Smith, our buddy, is on the line with us. We haven't had a chance to catch up with him in a while, and he now joins us. Craig, I'm assuming, it's a dangerous word, you're back in Wisconsin, maybe in Madison right now?
I am, and I got to say, it's good to be back. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Yeah,
all right.
Good to talk to you.
Are you on a fishing boat somewhere?
I was going to say, are the fish biting?
I'm looking at the lake. It's calling to me, but I'm actually inside today, so it's been good. We just got back, so we're just getting settled here in Wisconsin.
Well, before we get into your teammate in his day yesterday, how you doing? How's the off season been?
Oh, it's been good. It's been good. You know, it's been a weird year for everybody. So it's like now everything's kind of opening up and get a chance to do things you haven't been able to do in a long time, and see baseball games and concerts opening up. So it's been really fun. It's been just taking it one day at a time here this summer. It's just been a lot of fun. I can't wait to get out and start fishing. And we just got back a few days ago, like I said. So we're just kind of getting our feet wet here.
Well, just so you know, just to let you know how much you mean to us and to this show, rarely do I ever celebrate Bruins goals. Rarely do I even like to talk about Boston that much when it comes to hockey. We followed you very closely, and we made sure, and I made sure especially to announce anytime you had a big goal for Boston. You had a goal, period. So that's how much you mean to us.
That.
Yeah, I just want to let you know that.
Guys. Oh, I appreciate that. Because we didn't overlap this year, so we didn't get to. We didn't get to see you guys.
I know.
I always appreciate seeing you guys or hearing you guys on the radio. So it's been a long time. It's good to hear you.
Yeah, it was. So I hope everything went well. I know it didn't end the way you wanted it to, but looked like you had a great season, and hope everything is well on that front. So you spent many, many years as a teammate of one Pekka Rinne. The floor is yours. Just let you. We've heard so much from guys you played with, guys you were in the room with, just about Pekka. What were your lasting impressions of big number 35?
I mean, just thinking back, and I was trying to come up with a few things and stuff that I had learned from playing with him, and just how good of a person he was. I don't think I've ever really seen him get fired up, just a handful of times, but just how inclusive he was, and how caring he was of his teammates and how he treated you. And there wasn't a moment or a teammate that I saw came in. He didn't treat like the kid had been there for 10 years. So he was just an incredible guy, incredible human, very, very humble, and I think that has an impression on especially young guys coming into the league. So he's a very impressive individual, but I think he has more of an impact on the younger guys coming in, and the way you watch him carry himself, it's just you don't see that very often. So it's very impressive. I'm very happy for him.
It seemed to be also, Craig, a pretty common theme of guys talking about his practice.
One right off his face mask in the first month I've been there. I came up to him. I'm so sorry, and he just tapped me on the side. And he goes, "Hey, just keep shooting hard." And I was like, "All right." But he never gave up on a play. I mean, if there was a shot and a rebound, usually it's kind of a one. You get one rebound, and then the next kind of group is coming through. He wouldn't quit. If you wanted to play it out, he was going to make sure you didn't score. So, and he usually did. So he was a lot of fun to be around, a lot of fun to compete with.
You brought up your wife. Happy anniversary to you and Aaliyah. That was last month, right?
That was, yeah.
I remember that because, well, mine is in June too. So I always remember. I think we've talked about both of our anniversaries being in the month of June. So that's that's what I'll do. Third, right? Third anniversary.
Yeah, third one. I had an old guy tell me once, the only way to remember it is to forget it once. So I won't do that.
That's actually a really good line. A really good line. The magical run to the Stanley Cup Final all started with that first-round series against the big, bad Chicago Blackhawks, which nobody gave you guys a chance to get out of that series. I believe it was Mike Fisher yesterday that said, we believed we could beat them. Maybe nobody on the outside believed we could beat them. But it really all started with those first 2 games at the United Center, Craig, where, not only did you guys win and take both games, Pekka's save percentage for that series was .976, and he pitched 2 shutouts against Chicago. What do you remember about that series, and in particular, how he played?
I just thought that he was just lights out. I mean, that was typical Pecs coming in and making big saves and just shutting the door on every opportunity. I mean, that whole playoffs was him. I mean, every big save that we needed or a breakdown, he was there and he made it, whether it was a butt end of a stick or I think it was, later in the, I can't remember quite back to that, a couple games in that, but just how confident he was in going through it just gave everybody else confidence that if we make a mistake, I mean, you got a guy that's going to come up with a big save. I mean, that wins the game sometimes.
We're talking to Craig Smith, former Predator, now a member of the Boston Bruins. And Smitty, just give me your impression. Like you said, it's a different year. Like you didn't have the full year of the full fans in Boston, but it's such a great traditional market, an original 6 team. How did you think you fit in that city? When you play so long in one city and you go to a city that's completely different, I'm sure there was an adjustment period.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's that was kind of we expected that and to kind of come through, but I think it all wraps around who the type of people that you're around, and I thought it was just a tremendous group. I think from the leadership standpoint, and it all started with Patrice Bergeron and and the staff there, and it just kind of trickled down. I mean, he was so inclusive with me, and I thought that he was so welcoming, and I thought everyone was the same way. And I thought, when you got all the guys and you got good people in an organization, it's easy to make friends and get on the same page.
And it's going to be an interesting next few weeks here. You've been through it before with the expansion draft a few years ago with Vegas, but now you've got that, and you've got a lot of teams that are trying to figure out what are the best moves to make to get from good to great. The Predators are in that boat, and of course your Bruins, it's the same thing. There's some guys they have to make some decisions on, and you guys traded for Taylor Hall, who ended up being a really good pickup for you guys. You played a ton with him. So what are your thoughts on what this offseason is going to be like?
Yeah, it should be interesting. Like it was the last time, I think you're forcing teams to make hard decisions. I think it's tough. I think it revamps everybody's, rosters and creates a little bit different market. So it should be really interesting. I think, at the end of the day, it's good for the league, and you got new teams coming in and wanting to make a big presence. And I thought, looking back at the Vegas thing, I mean, it worked out. I mean, they're in contention every year, it seems like, and making moves, and they've always been a strong team. So it's I think it's a good move. It's going to be interesting, though. I think it really handcuffs some teams, and I'm hoping that we can get through this and hopefully get some good moves.
One more Pekka story that maybe you can help shed some light on. You hit on a great dynamic, and that's a common thread that we hear from a lot of the guys is the practice, right? When he's at practice, there are no taking the days off. There's no taking a shot off. You really articulated it well. Here's another thing I always remember, just, coming on the bus, whether it's to the game, from the game, to the airport, from the hotel. Pekka, you would have to say this, right? Smitty, it was one of the last, if not the last guys to roll in. Never late, right? But always among the last guys to roll in. So I always thought, especially
learned that on my first road trip.
Getting
Pekka
out of
was
a
always
city.
the last one on.
This was always my thing, Smitty. If I saw Pekka making his move from the locker room to the bus, I was thinking, man, I better get on the bus because they're not going to wait for me. They'll wait for Pekka. They're not going to wait for me. But Did you ever think that? Like, I don't know where you fell on the spectrum, if you were an early bird or not, but wasn't that always kind of the thing? When Pekka's ready to go, the bus is ready to roll.
Especially on the road, especially when the bus times get a little tight, and maybe they put a time up there. But I know that bus ain't leaving without Peck. So, like if I had to work out in a late shower or something, I would see Peck and I'd be like, oh, I'm good. They ain't leaving without him. They might leave without me, but they're not leaving without him. So yeah, it was Pekka time, man.
Well, it was funny. There was on one of the trips that I went on with you guys, Darren's texting me like, hey, where are you? And I'd gotten caught in traffic. And so I'm freaking out. I'm like, I'm going to miss the flight. Like I'm not going to make it. And then I see Pekka walking in. I'm running like, all right, cool, I'm good. Pekka's here. Brandon Walker's standing there going, dude, where are you? I'm like, well, Pekka, I'm with Pekka. That's what I'm doing. Craig Smith
can't leave without the big man.
Exactly.
Can't leave without the big
Exactly. Craig Smith is with us, longtime Predators for now with the Boston Bruins. So when you came in to that, it was early because you were here for a long time. What was there that sense of, all right, I don't want to bother this guy too much. He's a veteran. Did you have that sense at all the first time in really getting to know him and talk to him, or could you tell right away, like, hey, this is somebody that I know is going to be helpful as a new guy here our young guy here in the locker room?
Yeah, I think you learn that over time too. Like, coming in, I didn't know a whole lot about the group that I was coming into. I was just kind of a young, eager kid wanting to make the team and do all that. But it's until you get to meet them and just you go around and you meet them for the first time. Like, wow, that guy was a pretty nice guy. Like, oh, he stood around and talked to me for a little while. That's pretty cool. And then, throughout the process of the next couple months, you really get to see how a guy works and how his practice details or his routine every day or what time he shows up, what time he's leaving. And just him was just so impressive. I mean, he was just, there's no ups and downs. He was just like the same every day. Just the same cat and just doing the same things and getting a little better. And just in practice, he was such a quiet guy, but it just seemed like his practice habits were so loud and great and fun to watch. I mean, it just was incredible.
So I'll ask you this as somebody that was around him, because he got asked the question yesterday, what does he want his legacy in Nashville to be? And as you can imagine, in typical Pekka, he laughs and it was hard for him to answer because he doesn't like to talk about himself. How would you answer it for him on what his legacy is on and off the ice here in Nashville?
That's a tough question. I mean, there's so many great things, but I mean, if you wanted to model a Nashville Predator and make a mold of a guy inside and out of who you want to be working for your organization, that he's it. So I'm very happy for him, and it's I can't say I'm surprised that I'd be saying that, because I mean that's who he is, and when you got that type of person and you get people building around him, and he makes people better. And that's what you want around your organization.
Amen to that. You going to be coming to Nashville at all this off season, or staying put in Wisconsin?
Why, you want to go fishing?
I want to see that.
You need to teach me. Yeah, you need to help me. But yeah, sure.
I don't think we'll. I don't know. It's kind of up in the air. We got some. We got a couple weekends taken up, so I don't know if we're going to get back there this summer at all.
What about your buddy Adam Frazier? We were just talking about him earlier in the show, starting the All-Star game.
Oh,
your compadre from Nashville days.
Yes, yeah, he was. Adam's had a great career, and especially this year, I thought he's, just watching him and stuff, and he's putting together hits. I think he was batting like .330 before he came into it. He'll go on these little streaks where, I don't know if I want to text him or not, because I know they play every other day. So finally, when he made the All-Star game, I texted him. I was like, I'm so fired up for you right now. So, yeah, I was really happy for him. He definitely well-earned.
We're going to hire you, Smitty, as a consultant, because we need the scoop. If he's getting traded to either the Indians, the Braves, or the Mets, we need to know from you, because he's going to be on the trading block. He's a hot commodity right now.
He is. He is. I know. I've been watching, getting little snippets of it. So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see how it all lays out. I think, he's a great player. I think, anybody who has him is going to increase their roster.
No doubt about it. Well, I'm going to say the same thing that I said in a roundabout way to Pecorine yesterday, because this is the first time we had a chance to talk to you since you left. Thanks for everything you did here. You're a pro's pro. I know I can speak for the three of us. You made our job a lot easier. You were great to deal with. And quite honestly, I'll speak for myself. Not that I didn't love the interviews that we did, whether it was for pregame or second period intermission. You were always great about that, or obviously doing stuff with Chase for our postgame show.
Yep.
I enjoyed our chats when we weren't doing an interview more than anything. So that's what I always look forward to. But honestly, thanks for everything, and we're rooting for you, and we'd love to see you down the road.
I can't wait, guys. I really appreciate it. Thank you for being so good to me. And like you said, our conversations, outside were great. And I appreciate you guys' friendship and having me on the show always. So thank you, guys.
Yep. Thank you, Craig. Continue to have
Craig.
a great summer, and thanks for doing this.
All right. Take care, guys.
That is former Predator Craig Smith, now with the Boston Bruins. That will do it for this hour. We'll come back. Start the third hour, including Tim Hasselback around 12:15. We'll continue on here on ESPN 102.5 The Game.